Hi guys, it's Hannah. Time to talk about one of the most expensive bottles of oil I own. This is not like the most expensive oil Young Living has, but it is one of the most expensive 5 milliliter bottles of oil that I own. And I bought it for a very specific reason. This wasn't like, oh, I just want this kind of a splurge. This was like, oh, I think I might need this. I had looked up in the essential oil desk reference some stuff, and I was like, oh, I think I really need this oil. So, the oil is Jasmine. Is that in focus? Jasmine. It's thebomb.com. I'm still not a medical doctor. Please don't ask me for medical advice. I do refer to statements made by the essential oils desk reference by Life Science Publishing fairly often. Not all of those things are necessarily compliant, and I try to point out when I say those things, but I might say like the EODR or the desk reference or something like that. But all of the things that they say are backed up by science. They're just not things that you should use to diagnose yourself. It would be like going on WebMD and being like, oh, this is what's wrong with me. I need some oil for that. And then flipping through the desk reference and being like, oh, okay, I need these oils and I'm going to use them. And then when you have to go to the doctor for real because it didn't fix your problem, what do you were like, I looked it up in the desk reference and it didn't work. And they're going to be like, of course it didn't work. You didn't do the right thing. Or even if you're going to a holistic doctor, they're probably like, well, that's silly, you didn't go about it the right way, or you didn't do the protocol long enough, or why didn't you just call me? Kind of a thing. So let your doctor know if you're using essential oils is the bottom line. The desk reference is a great tool, but it's not the end-all be-all as far as all the knowledge in the world. And it doesn't know what's going on in your body. Who knows that? And sometimes you need help deciphering that from a doctor. But hey, this is a expensive bottle of oil. So 1 pound of jasmine oil requires 1,000 pounds of jasmine. Like, to distill 1 pound of jasmine oil, you need 1,000 pounds of blooms. So that's like 3.6 million fresh, unpacked blossoms. It's a whole process. Like, the blossoms have to be collected, like picked before sunrise, like before they open fully. It's a whole thing. It is very difficult to get this oil. You have to do it exactly the right way. It's one of those things that's amazing about Young Living, is that they have done all the work for us, and they know how long things need to be distilled to get all the chemical constituents that we need to help us out. They know that you have to collect these blossoms before sunrise, or when you distill them, nothing cool is going to happen. But this is labeled for topical and aromatic use, and you can use it neat, so no dilution necessary there. Let's look at the price. Okay, so wholesale it's $82, and retail that's $107.89. So that's how much it costs. Not the most expensive oil, but definitely in the top 10, specifically for a single with like that only comes in a 5 milliliter. Like, that's expensive. But it's a really uplifting oil. It's very floral. Obviously it's a flower, but it's stimulating and has antidepressant properties like a lot of other floral scents do. Good for skin issues. Tons of people swear by putting this on your skin, for eczema, wrinkles, oily skin, stuff like that. You'll see jasmine sometimes in body butters or facial creams and all that stuff, and they're just using a tiny bit in there, so don't think that you need to slather your face in this stuff. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's meant to counter, or like it counteracts hopelessness, nervous exhaustion, anxiety, and depression. So that's why a lot of like mama care packages type of things, if you see stuff like that online that are essential oil based, a lot of those include an oil like jasmine, geranium, royal Hawaiian sandalwood, rose, all of those expensive, more floral, I guess sandalwood is a wood, but grounding properties going on there. Those are often marketed towards new moms and women. But the reason I bought this is because it is supposed to help your ovaries. So menstrual issues, PMS stuff. And before I was diagnosed with PCOS, I was trying everything to regulate my cycle. I tried everything. But in the desk reference, Jasmine is in one of the blends that is supposed to be a menstrual regulating blend. So I bought it for that. I used it. I used up that roller I made until it was gone, and it didn't help my problem because that recipe is intended for typical women, not women with endocrine disorders. So, I didn't know I had PCOS when I did that, but obviously that's why it didn't work, and I would use it every single day. I made it a habit to use it, and I liked how I felt for the most part, but I wasn't seeing any progress in my symptoms. But that's because it wasn't a recipe meant for someone with PCOS. I have underlying things that I need to work on before I can be like, oh, let's regulate your cycle with essential oils. It's one of those annoying things, especially about, not knowing that you have it and that it's so difficult to diagnose sometimes. And, there's not a lot of information out there about essential oils and PCOS. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, I use this or I use that or whatever. But as far as like scientific evidence that this or that or whatever works for PCOS, will alleviate your symptoms, etc., there's not tons of good information out there. There's a lot of personal testimonies. There's just a lot of stuff, but it's not sciencey stuff, and that's where the rub is for me, because it is a bifold issue. There's tons of stuff for the typical woman, but honestly, everyone probably has something going on in their life that makes them atypical in some way. So, while something might work for the masses, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And that is why I try to get everyone to exercise caution, especially when you're purchasing something so expensive for a specific reason. It might not work. And now I do have this beautiful floral bottle of oil. It didn't work for what I wanted it to work for, but I pop it in my diffuser sometimes. Sometimes I put it like on the bottom of my feet just to make me feel good. Or a lot of people do do-it-yourself perfumes, and Jasmine is big in a lot of those. So there are several really good books on that, DIY perfumes, and Jasmine is really great for that. In my case, it wasn't great for my menstrual issues because PCOS, but if you are struggling with something else and you are sure that you don't have PCOS, but you want a little bit of regulation, maybe your cycle's not quite right, it might work. It might totally work for you. But it didn't work for me, and that's okay. And I have this beautiful bottle of oil to show for it, that I spent a lot of money on. I'm just kidding. I actually cashed in ER points for that, so I actually didn't pay for it. But I could have used those $82 worth of points on lots of other stuff. But that's okay. It's in the past. It's over. Do you love Jasmine? Do you want this bottle of oil. Maybe it's on your wish list because it is one of the more expensive singles. Maybe you're like, nah, I'll pass on the florals. But let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.